The next module of our discussion is Dataverse. So you must be wondering what is Dataverse and what is the value that it adds. We will be exploring more of that part. The Dataverse is that in-house data source which comes along with Power Platform. We can be saving the data and we can use it as and when required for the Power Apps, for the Power Automate and whatnot. So, more of the Dataverse, what is the security feature that it has? What is the logic behind it? What are we going to do with Dataverse is going to be studied in this module, Dataverse. In the previous module, we have discussed about what Power Platform is, who are its target audience, what are the features it offers. Now, we will be understanding the foundational components of Microsoft Power Platform. The agenda again is same. We will be discussing on the foundational components of Power Platform. To introduce, we will be covering the topics like describing the Power Platform administration, exploring Microsoft Dataverse, examine how connectors are used in Microsoft Power Platform, and also will be describe the Power Platform security and governance. So these are some of the topics that we are going to cover in this particular module. The first topic we will be discussing on is Microsoft Power Platform administration and security. Security again plays a major role, right? So everybody knows why is it important for you to have a secure space so that your data is not leaked anywhere. You will be using a lot of business data which needs to be secure at the end of the day. So here in this module, we will be learning on the administration part as well as the security of the options that we are going to explore in the Power Platform. So the first topic that you need to know is the environments. The environments basically is a container. So what is it going to do? It is used to store, to manage, and to share the organization's business data. It could be the applications, it could be the flows that you create using Power Automate. All of this can be stored in your environment. So every environment will allow you to provision one Dataverse database, and that is for use within that particular environment only. And the Dataverse environments also allow you to manage the user access. So not just restricted to that, but also will it provide you some security settings and the storage associated with that particular database. And when I mention about the database, it is about the Dataverse database that I'm talking about. So every environment is created under a Microsoft Azure Active Directory, which is Azure AD, which is the Microsoft Entra ID now. And we are having each environment created under the Entra ID tenant. So its resources can be accessed only by the users who are part of the tenant. So if anybody is not part of that particular tenant, they will not be able to access the environment. So every environment is bound to have a geographic location. For example, it can be the United States. So when you create a Dataverse database in an environment, it is created within the data centers of that particular geographic location. So some of the examples of an environment are, you can have a dev environment created for the development of your applications or flows. Then comes the sandbox environment, which is a non-production environment or the test environment. Later for the deployment, will you go for the production environment? So that's about the environment. So now comes the next part of our discussion, which will involve the data loss prevention policy, along with the compliance, privacy, as well as the accessibility. So when it comes to the data loss prevention policy, and when it comes to compliance and data privacy, when it comes to accessibility in the Microsoft Power Platform, we have a lot of options to discuss because this is coming as a major part from the Microsoft. So Microsoft is never compromising on any of these. So when it comes to the DLP or the data loss prevention policy, they can be scoped at the environment level or the tenant level. Next comes, it also offers the flexibility to craft a sensible policy which strikes a balance between protection and productivity. Because you need not to have a protection to that level that the productivity is hampered, or you need not concentrate on the productivity to that level where the protection is hampered. So both are supposed to be taken care when it comes to the DLPs. Second is the compliance and the data privacy. So here, be assured that the Microsoft is committed to the highest levels of trust, transparency, and the standards of conformance and the regulatory compliance, because they take into priority the data protection and the resources to manage GDPR compliance. Coming to the last part, the accessibility part. So when it comes to the accessibility, the Power Platform is accessible and inclusive to every category of user across the world. It is not having any bias. So an accessible Canvas app will allow users with vision, hearing, as well as many other impairments to successfully use the application. So that makes it clear that Microsoft is having no bias, and it is making it very clear and accessible and inclusive to all sorts of users across the world. Next is the Microsoft Power Platform Admin Center. So, what is this Admin Center and why should one know about the Admin Center? So, let's talk about this now. So the Power Platform Admin Center provides a unified portal for the administrators to basically manage the environments and the settings for the Power Apps. It could be for Power Automate, it could be for some customer engagement applications related to the Dynamics 365, it could be Dynamics 365 customer service or Dynamics 365 field service or D365 marketing or the project service automations. So basically, it is having the settings that are grouped into multiple broad categories. The first one being the environments, where you can be viewing, creating, and managing multiple environments. So you can be selecting an environment to see the details and manage its settings at any given time. Coming to the analytics, you get a detailed view of the key metrics for the Power Platform applications that you create. So when I say about the detailed key metrics, it is definitely required when you need to see how the resources are being used in your environment. Coming to the next one, the resources. So here you can view and assign the capacity to your environment. The fourth option is the data integration. So the data integration will let you create or add the predefined connections, and it also monitors them between the Dataverse as well as some other data stores like the Salesforce, it could be the SQL server. There can be multiple options like this. Last is the data policies, and in this section, it lets you set up the policies to restrict which category of connector can be used with the Dataverse and up to what limit. So that is being decided based on the data policies. Now comes the managed environment. So everybody these days is talking about the managed environment because it is a suite of premium level capabilities the administrators can be using to manage the Power Platform at a particular scale. So managing the applications at an enterprise level can be really very challenging. So it can be very hard to control on who has to access the different applications as well as ensuring the data to those applications is secure. So for that reason, to help resolve this particular challenge, the Power Platform includes the managed environments. So this is going to be at a level where it provides more control over the environment with a very, very less efforts as well as more insights related to what is happening. So in this, there are some key features made available under the managed environment. Let's know more about limit sharing, because this in fact allows the administrators to limit how broadly users can share the Canvas apps. For example, you can prevent a user from sharing a Canvas app with the entire organization. So this kind of options you can be choosing using the limit sharing. Second is the weekly usage insights, where every week analytics can be delivered to your inbox. So this is going to give you an analytics which includes the information about your top applications. So your most impactful makers and the details about the inactive resources that you can safely clean up can also be a part of this. So next comes the data policies, where you need to know that the data policies define the consumer connectors that data can be shared with. So why is it important? Because it ensures that the data is managed in a uniform manner across your organization. Additionally, they also prevent important business data on being accidentally published to the connectors like social media sites. It's very important for the policies to be set. Otherwise, you will always have a risk of losing the data. Next is the pipelines in Microsoft Power Platform. This one. So the Power Platform administrators can create one or more pipelines, and they can be associating them with any number of environments. So then they can be sharing them across those that will administer or run the pipelines. So here you can be using the option of pipelines as and when required, not just one, but many. Last is the solution checker. So solution checker in the managed environments is used to enforce rich static analysis checks on your solutions against a set of best practice rules. And it also helps you identify the problematic patterns. And that becomes really very important. So this is going to provide you why is a managed environment important these days. So now let's begin with our discussion with Microsoft Dataverse. So what is this Dataverse going to help us do and what is it going to offer? Let's see more. So here comes the Microsoft Dataverse. So what is Microsoft Dataverse? Like I kept mentioning about the Microsoft Dataverse, it is something which is a cloud-based data storage wherein we can be saving the data in the form of tables. There are some important keywords for us to know why Dataverse is taking these into consideration. The Dataverse has security coming along. So you need to know that there is authentication, there can be authorization, role-based security, auditing. All of this comes under the security part of Dataverse. Second is the logic, where you can have the jobs, you can have plugins, you can have some rules created using the business rules. There can be the calculated as well as the roll-up columns. There are a lot of options for the logic involved behind the Dataverse table. Next is the data where you can have modeling, you can have catalog and the discovery, reporting. These are some of the options and examples that I'm talking about and not just restricted to these. Coming to the fourth, it is the storage. End of the day, the Dataverse has to do its storage job. So here comes the files and the blobs into picture. It can have the relational databases, some semi-structured data. It can have the log files, some relevant search and find data is also possible in the Dataverse. So when it comes to the storage part of the same. Last is the integration. It has very good integration capability. So you can be integrating the same with multiple other Microsoft services as well as different other options available. Now comes the overview of the Microsoft Dataverse. So here, when we are talking about the Dataverse, you need to know that it is a cloud-based solution which easily structures a variety of data as well as the business logic to support the interconnected applications and the processes in a very secure and compliant manner. I've already mentioned about why is Microsoft stressing more on the policies and having to save the data in a very compliant and secure manner, and how much is the concentration and focus on protecting the data. So you already know about that, and Dataverse is also coming under the same. So you can be managing and maintaining the Dataverse, which is made available globally but deployed geographically to comply with your potential data residency. It's not just designed for only the standalone use on your servers, so you will need an internet connection to access and use it. So in the case of no internet, you will not be able to access the Dataverse. And also is Dataverse designed to be your central data repository for the business data. It does provide you the data storage, the security, the integration, the scalability, and the low-code development. So now when it comes to the common data model, it is a common language used to describe the data by business as well as the analytical applications. It consists of set of standard as well as the extensible data definitions, which are published by the Microsoft to enable the consistency as well as the alignment of data across its ecosystem. So here in the common data model, you will have set of open source, standardized, as well as the extensible data tables, as well as the relationships. So when I need to mention about the key features, it also has many key features coming along. And that can be the standardization, it could be the extensibility, it could be the interoperability. So when I mention about the standardization, it provides a shared data language for business as well as the analytical applications. So it is standard across all. When I mention about the extensibility, it allows the customization to fit the business specific requirements while also maintaining a common structure. When it comes to the interoperability, it enables the seamless data exchange between different systems and applications such as the Power Apps, Power BI, Dynamics 365, and many Azure-related operations. So that's about an overview of Microsoft Dataverse. Now, let me take you to the Dataverse implements the common data model related topic. So here you need to know that the common data model provides a shared data language for business and the analytical applications to use. So it makes it easier to bring together the data from multiple systems as well as the applications. So the common data model metadata system makes it possible for the data and its meaning to be shared across the applications and the business processes. It could be the Power Apps, it could be Power BI, Dynamics 365, Azure. All of this in addition to the metadata system will definitely have some standardized extensible data schemas, which is published by Microsoft and its partners. So it is open source and shared data model, which provides the semantic consistency for the data. The next part is historically, the work or build on an application has been tightly tied with data integration. But with the common data model, as well as the platform that support it, the two can happen independently, which means the app makers or the developers, whether the user leverages the code-based platforms or the low code, such as Power Apps, they need to manage the data, they need to store the data for the applications. Second, they need to have the data integrators, which users are responsible for bringing the data from various systems to make it accessible for the apps to use. So this has to allow the makers to more quickly develop the applications and integrators to more easily interoperate across multiple systems. Coming to the last, the common data model simplifies the data management and the app development by unifying the data into known form and applying the structural and the semantic consistency across multiple applications and the deployments. So for a growing set of solutions and partners that contribute to the effort by implementing CDM or extending with industry specific domains, we need to definitely know that the Dataverse implements the common data model has to be taken care. So it will definitely have structural and semantic consistency. It will be simplified integration and disambiguation of data, unified shape, and the ability to extend the schema and the common data model standard entities. So that's about this slide. And now let's move to identifying the tables and columns in Dataverse. So you have two categories of tables. One is standard. So these are the out-of-box tables provided by the Dataverse to you. This will be the base set of table. So it is created for every instance of Dataverse database. So they are designed to capture the common business scenarios and can be customized to fit the specific requirements. Second is the custom table. These tables are created by the users to meet some specific business requirements. You can as well be defining the structure, the relationship, the business logic for these tables that you create. Coming next is the activity table. This is very important for you to know because these are some of the specified tables for tracking the activities. When I mentioned tracking the activity, it is again time bound. There is time coming into picture. So it can be with respect to the appointments, emails, phone calls, tasks. So they include time-based attributes. It will always be having a start time as well as the end time. Next is the virtual table, where these tables allow you to integrate the data from external data sources into Dataverse and without physically storing the data in Dataverse. Next is the elastic table. So these are designed to handle really large data sets and also often maybe tens of millions of rows can be created or handled using the elastic tables. You can as well be optimizing the performance and scalability of the same. Columns will be storing the discrete piece of information within a record in a table. If you define the table as set of records, column will be storing the discrete piece of information, and every column has a type which defines the way you store the data. It can be a date column, it can be single line of text, it can be multiple lines of text, it can be an auto number, multiple choice options will you get. Now, if you have to understand the relationships, you need to know that relationship represent the way the tables are connected. So tables that relate to one another have a relational connection. So the relationship between tables exists in multiple forms. The two most common ones are one-to-many and many-to-many category of relationship. So both are supported by the Dataverse. The first one is the one-to-many relationship. It is also called as a parent-child relationship. So in this, what happens is, maybe if you consider an example of a parent table, it can have many child rows. So if parent is invoice, it can have multiple line items, which is child rows. Next is the many-to-many relationship, where you can have a contact who can attend multiple events, and event might have multiple contacts who attend. So that's about a many-to-many category of relationship. Now comes the business rules. In the business rule, it allows for the application of business logic at the data layer instead of the app layer. Usually, they are defined for a table and applied to every form possible, but can also be defined for a specific model-driven form. What can you do with a business rule? You can be clearing some column values, you can set some column values, you can be validating the data, you can show some error messages. All of this comes as a part of a business rule. Now, a very important part, which is the Power Platform data connectors, which you need to definitely know. So the Microsoft Power Platform gets its power from ability to leverage the data across many platforms. So for us to do that, the Power Platform components use connectors. So when you think of connectors as a bridge, it is from a data source to your application or the workflow, which allows the information to be conveyed back and forth. So whenever you consider connectors, they're available for use in multiple products like Automate. It is used in Power Apps. It is used in the Logic apps. So in custom connector, an advantage of building the same is that they can be used in different platforms such as Power Apps, Power Automate, Azure Logic applications. And also does it allow you to extend an app by calling a publicly available API or a custom API you're hosting in a private or a cloud provider such as Azure. So you create the custom connectors using three different approaches. One is using a blank custom connector. You can go for open API definition, or you can go for a Postman collection. So that's about the data connectors. Now there are two categories of connectors. One is standard and second is premium. The standard tier connectors are maybe connectors that can be included in your standard Microsoft 365 subscription. So when I say that, the standard connectors cover many of the most used data sources such as SharePoint, OneDrive, Power BI, as well as many third-party sources such as Google Drive, Twitter, GitHub, and many more, which is being shown here. So in the case of premium connectors, while standard connectors are available with the standard Microsoft 365 subscription, the premium connectors are only available when you have appropriate standalone plans, be it for Power Apps per user plan or Power Automate per user plan. You are supposed to have a plan to use these premium connectors. So the main advantage of premium connectors is that they allow you to connect to a larger number of services. Most premium connectors cover the external applications such as Salesforce, DocuSign, it could be SurveyMonkey, it could be Amazon, and many other options can be explored. So there are several Microsoft applications that use premium connectors such as Dynamics 365, and then premium connectors are also identified by the premium stamp. The question number one is, someone has added an item in SharePoint which prompts a flow to run in Power Automate. What type of operation have you used to start your flow? Option number one is trigger, second is an action, and third is function based. What do you think is an answer? It's very right. It has to be the trigger. Trigger will be initiating some actions. Second question, you need to add a new environment with Dataverse instance. Which portal do you use? Option 1, Power Platform Admin Center. Option 2, Power Apps Maker Portal. Option 3, Power Pages Portal. What do you think is the answer? The answer has to be Power Platform Admin Center that we were talking about all this while. Then the question 3, someone asks you to describe a connector. How would you respond? So the option 1 is connectors connect your data source to your app, workflow, or dashboard. Second, connectors hold a series of functions available for developers. Option 3, connectors offer a cloud-based service which makes it practical and simple for line of business users to build the workflows that automate time-consuming business tasks and the processes across applications and services. So what do you think is the answer? Of course, the connector connects your data source to your app, workflow, or dashboard. That's the answer. I'm sure you will have guessed it right. So that's all from the knowledge check. In this module, we have seen different Power Platform administrative experiences available. We have seen the security and governance. We have seen what is Dataverse. We have created the table, and also have we understood how to use the tables and columns for various purposes. Along with that, how is it used to create the business solutions as well? Coming along with that is the connector that we have seen. Why do they matter is also taken care. So these are some of the options that we have explored in this particular module. So that was about the data words that I wanted to bring to you. In this module, you learned about the Power Platform Admin Center. You understood about the security aspect, the logic aspect, and the introduction aspect of the data words. You understood how the data gets easily saved. Where does it get saved? What are the different categories of tables that you can explore? What are the columns that we can be creating? What is the table dependent on? What is the column dependent on? Of course, the data type that I'm going to highlight here. So that was being studied. And now it is time for us to move to the lab.